Okay, we're starting on our backs in Shavasana. Eventually, if possible, we'll use a wall with our feet pressing into the wall. So if you want to set up that way now, or if you're able to set up that way later, then I'll let you know when to scoot. We'll also use two blocks today. We're going to work a lot with spiral lines today. So beginning in Shavasana, lie on your back comfortably. Let the back of your head sink into the ground. Notice any sense of space inside your body, inside the ears, space around the jaw, perhaps. And continue scanning, noticing, becoming aware of any quality of space in your body, in your joints. Acknowledging asymmetries that you might discover in your body between the two sides. And this may be a weird one. You might be like, what? Space inside the body? Just kind of let the sentiment sink in without trying to analyze, overanalyze, and see what comes up when you look in. And we'll begin our movement inquiry by opening the jaw really wide, holding for a moment, and then not crazy slow, but relatively slow, closing the jaw. And then when you finish that, just notice if the sense of space in your mouth or in the jaw has changed at all. Bring your arms down alongside your body. Palms can be up or down. Arms are heavy, so they're going to stay on the floor. And we'll do a little shoulder shrug. So one shoulder shrugs up toward the ear while the other moves down away from the ear. Alternating, one shoulder shrugging up, the other shrugging down. So the anatomical terminology is one scapula or shoulder blade is depressing, moving down, while the other is elevating, moving up. Alternate here a few more times. Feel the shoulder blade gliding along the floor. If you don't have a blanket on your mat, you might be getting kind of stuck. We definitely want to be able to slide and glide, so it's worth being on a slippery surface. Always at the start of this attunement class. Let's make sure the jaw is at least slightly open. And let's just add a little rotation of the head toward the upward moving shoulder. Doesn't have to be big, it could be, but always good to start kind of small, test the waters. How does it feel? Where do I feel sensation? And then maybe gradually making the movement larger. But there's value in not going all the way. Couple more times. So not lifting the shoulder away from the floor, just gliding it up and down toward the head and away from the head. And then eventually come back to center. You can bring both shoulder blades down away from the ears. Plant both feet. Let's go feet planted a little bit wider than the hips and arms out to a T. Windshield wiper the legs, so knees drop over to one side and then to the other. Go slow and move with intention here rather than just kind of loose. Be intentional, like you're moving through something thick. Let's rotate the head opposite the direction the legs are going. And as you rotate the head, try pressing the side of your skull, the side of your head, lightly into the mat. The knees go one way, head goes the opposite way, and we're rooting a little bit more through that side of the head. Make sure the teeth are parted here. About one more round. And then once you're back to center, keep your feet planted. You can adjust where they are, but keep the knees bent and the feet on the ground. Stretch your arms up toward the ceiling. And then bend your elbows and bring your hands to hold your elbows. So arms are hovering over the chest. And let's slide the arms side to side. Just keep the pelvis and the legs still, isolating the movement through the shoulders. Keep that grip on your elbows. So when the arms go one way, the opposite shoulder will lift off the ground. And then rotate the head opposite the direction the arms are going. Let's add one more element. This will be with the jaw. So you might have to adjust a little bit where your arms are in order to pin your jaw against your kind of arms. It's really shoulder for me. Yeah, probably for you too. So arms go one way, head goes the other way, and invite or set it up so that your jaw can run into your shoulder and press your jaw a little outward into your shoulder. So for example, the arms go to the right, the head rotates to the left, and I press the left side of my jaw into the left arm. So it's a little side bend for the jaw. Applying enough pressure to feel a moderate amount of sensation. And then eventually coming back to center, just release your arms down for a moment. And then we'll take the thumbs and the inner edge of your index finger knuckle to the ears. So inner edge of the index finger, that'll be bent, and your thumbs. And we're bringing those two digits either side of the ears. So you get a little grip on your ears at the top of the ears, and then see if you can just gently tug if your ear curls in, like you're uncurling it. And then work your way down. You could certainly adjust how the fingers are oriented, but we want to be kind of gentle. Like if you've ever like pulled a piece of grass out of its like sheath at the base, right? If you just pull fast, the grass breaks. So we want to go slow and see if we can just kind of extract it out. Working down, down to the lobes. You can tug a little bit down and outward. And let's just do that one more time. Starting at the tops of the ears, like an unrolling of your ears, a little tugging out to the sides, working your way down to the earlobes. And then once you work your way down to the earlobes, just release your arms again. And then we'll straighten out the legs. And here's where we'll start to use the wall. So if you have a wall to use, or maybe, some couches have basically a wall at the bottom. If you don't have a wall at your disposal, you can just imagine there's a wall, so you have something to press into. Okay, so we're still on our backs here, and we have the feet at the wall in Shavasana. And then let's take hold of the sides of your mat. So if you got a blanket on top, you can go right over it, or you can go under. Get a pretty good grip on the mat. So you're pulling your hands away from each other. Feel what that does for your shoulders. And then press the toe mounds of one foot into the wall, and then the other. So it might feel like not much happening, not a big deal. That's okay. Pushing the toe mounds of one foot into the wall. Don't push so much that you're pushing yourself away from the wall. So gripping the mat is potentially going to help that. Just alternate a couple more times, one foot, then the other. And then release your grip on your mat. Feet are still at the wall. They're going to stay at the wall for these next several inquiries. Stretch your arms overhead alongside your ears. So arms might be on the ground. They might have to come a bit wider. They might not make it to the ground. You can have palms up or palms facing each other. I think palms up is maybe nicer here, but you see what works for you. And then we're going to keep pushing into the wall. We're going to add an inner spiral. So that means the inner thigh will rotate slightly downward. You might turn your foot in to feel that a little bit more. And same side arm reaches in opposition. So we're alternating sides still, pushing the toe mounds into the wall, rotating the inner thigh a little bit down toward the floor, and same side arm stretching opposite the wall. Go slow here, pause at the end range of your reach, and keep alternating a few more times. The inner spiral might not feel like a big movement either. That's okay. Just see if you can get that sense, that action in your body and your brain. Maybe one more time each side. And then release your efforts. And you can take arms out to a T. Plant your left foot. And here's our unwinding movement. So we rock to the inner edge of the left foot, reach the knee over to the right, but also toward the wall. And then back to center. Let's add that pressure of the right toe mounds into the wall and that inner spiral of the leg. So maybe normally the leg would just be relaxed and the toes would drape out to the right, that right leg, but instead we're going to be a little more active with that internal rotation and rooting into the wall. You can always adjust where your leg and your foot is to see how that changes things. Go a few more times on your own. At the end of that one, whatever that is for you, switch sides. So left leg is straight, toe mounds connected to whatever you're pressing into, right foot planted, rock to the inner edge of the foot, knee goes to the left, but also reaches toward the wall. Adding that action through the left leg, pushing the toe mounds into the wall and internally rotating the inner thigh. You might feel like you don't get very far. I don't, but that's okay. Just get where you can get. Tracking sensation. Make sure your teeth aren't clenched. There's still space around the jaw. A couple more times on this side. And then eventually coming back, so to Shavasana, both legs straight, and feet meeting the wall, arms down alongside your body. Notice the river of breath. And now, just like our first movement we did at the wall, and we're going to add on in a moment, but we'll start with that. So pushing toe mounds, and maybe even now the heel into the wall with one leg. And be a little more aware now of the hips moving when you do this. So when you push the left foot into the wall, the left hip moves down toward the wall, and the right hip just automatically responds by kind of hitching up. You don't have to make that happen, but feel it happen or let it happen. And then we're going to modify this a little bit. So as you push one foot into the wall, that hip moves away, and also now lift that hip, that side of the pelvis, a little up toward the ceiling. And then bring it back down, same thing on the other side. Push the foot away, lift the hip a little bit up, so you kind of tip over off of that hip, off of that side of the pelvis. And the leg that's staying down, let's try pressing that thigh down into the floor a little bit more. So it might be less pressure into the wall in order to focus on one hip rising up toward the ceiling and the other thigh actively rooting down. Couple more times each side. So part of the reason the feet are staying at the wall is so that we don't bend the knee in order to lift the hip. All right. So we're just kind of taking that out of the equation. And then after your second side, pause here to rest. And now let's plant both feet and bring your arms into cactus for our spinal undulation. With your exhalation, press the lower spine into the floor. And with your inhalation, exaggerate your lumbar curve. So the pelvis stays down. We're creating a gap in between the lower back and the floor. Going back and forth, exhaling, abdominals pull back toward the floor, spine presses into the floor. And then inhale, expanding around the belly and engaging the back. Let's add a nod of the head. So when you're finding your back bend, chin toward the chest. And when you root through the back, chin away from the chest. I'm not lifting my head to create that movement. I'm sliding the back of my head along the ground a little bit. So it's a yes nod. Make sure your jaw feels relatively spacious, that the teeth are parted. One more time. Gradually coming back to neutral spine. Keep your left foot planted, straighten your right leg so foot meets the wall again. Interlace your hands behind your head at the bottom of your skull. Rock to the inner edge of the foot, swing the knee across and reach it away. We already did this. Keep the left shoulder down, left arm down if you can. Back to center. Push the right foot into the wall and now let it rotate externally a bit. So inner thigh now moving outward. And as a result, the toes will rotate outward a little bit. Pushing the foot into the wall. Other foot pushes into the floor, that inner edge of the foot. Pressing into the floor, knee reaching away from you. And let's add one more element. This is a side bend. So left foot is planted. We'll slide the left elbow toward the left foot. It's a side bend to the left. And we're feeling, hopefully, this stretch, this line of extension or elongation through the right side, pushing the foot into the wall, and right elbow reaching opposite, flowing in and out, or staying for a bit where it feels nourishing. Once you're back to center, straighten your left leg, plant your right foot, maybe switch across the interlace of your hands, still at the bottom of the skull. Rock to the inner edge of the right foot, push the inner edge of the right foot into the ground, drive the knee away from you. Back to center. Adding the rooting of the left foot into the wall, especially the toe mounds, and now allowing that leg to externally rotate. Usually we have to make the internal rotation happen, but the external rotation happens on its own for most of us. And whenever you're ready, reintroducing our side bend. Right foot is planted, right elbow slides toward right foot. So minimize lifting and try to slide instead. Finding your flow, slow flow. The two sides probably feel different. Isn't that interesting? Couple more times on this side. Once you're back to center, let's release all together, touching Shavasana. Notice what you notice. Let's bring arms into cactus and plant the feet. Feet stay on the ground, everybody, and draw a circle. You could put a magic marker on like the knee, the part of the knee that faces the ceiling, and try to draw a circle with just that knee. The foot's not coming up off the ground, so that will limit your range of motion. Just see how you can make that work. You can try adjusting where your foot is, like how close it is to you. You might be able to get more range if the foot's closer to the sitting bone. So the knee is drawing a circle, the hip's probably gonna lift off the ground as a result. You can let that happen. Keep the other leg still. Just when you think you've done it all, something different to do. Switch directions. I mean, I've never done this much in my life. So really attuning to what's arising. Foot staying on the ground, so not rocking to the outer edge, the inner edge of the foot. The whole sole is staying on the ground. Yes, the circle could be bigger if I let the foot leave the ground, but that's just not what we're after today. And then spiral back to center, and same thing other side. Again, maybe adjusting where your foot is to find a little bit more freedom if you like. Switch directions. I don't know about you, but I feel like two different people, two sides of my body. Lucky you if you don't. Spiraling back to center. Keep your feet on the ground. Move your magic marker to the tip of your tailbone and draw some circles with the tailbone. So now it'd be like at the wall that's past your feet rather than the ceiling. You can start small and then gradually spiral larger, find your biggest available circle, and go slow in those places where it feels more linear than circular. So the pelvis is definitely moving to draw these circles, and let that happen. Try going in the other direction. Spiral back to center. Straighten the legs again. Place the magic marker on the tip of your nose. And start small here, drawing circles on the ceiling with the tip of your nose. Head is staying down, head is heavy. Gradually you can spiral larger. Make it as perfect of a circle that you can. Teeth are parted. And then you can stay with the big circles and switch directions. And gradually spiral smaller. Spiraling back to stillness at center. One more circle here. It's going to be like a half circle, and this will be of the mandible, so the lower jaw. Let's shift it over to one side and then down away from your maxilla, from your upper jaw, over to the other side, and then across, like you've got like Big League Chew, or you're a cow. Circling the mandible, circling the lower jaw. Keep the head centered. Switch directions. Gradually come back to center. Notice the space in and around your jaw. Let's plant the feet again. Interlace your hands behind your head, the bottom of the skull. This is our second spinal undulation. Inhaling, exaggerate your lumbar curve, press your arms into the floor, and then exhale, flatten the spine down, lift your head, bring your elbows together and toward the knees. Follow your breath. Make sure you're opening and closing your elbows. I see a lot of folks keep their elbows open the whole time, but we're trying to incorporate the shoulder blade movement as well. Retraction and protraction. Let's introduce a diagonal reach with the exhalation, coming across the midline with your elbows toward one hip, both elbows in. Inhaling back to center, rooting the arms. Exhaling to the other side. Full breath in and long breath out. And if you can coordinate, add a little bit of a side scrub here. So it's our side bend, say side bend to the right, right elbow moving toward right hip, and then exhale, curl up toward the right hip. Inhale, come back through center, side bend to the left, left elbow slides toward left hip. And then exhale, elbows toward left hip, peeling the shoulder blades up. Try that a few more times on your own, incorporating our side scrub to our spinal undulation. Maybe one more round. And when it fits into your rhythm, release all together back into Shavasana, feet touching the wall. And reintroducing our SI release. And so we push one foot into the wall, especially the toe mounds, and then relax that leg and push the other foot into the wall. Maybe you can initiate this from the sacrum or from the pelvis. Up slip, down slip. And let's incorporate our inner spiral. So whatever leg is pushing away, rotate that inner thigh down a little bit. Notice if you're arching your spine, try to keep the spine neutral, focusing on this action coming from the hips, coming from the pelvis and your thigh bone. Just about one more time, each leg, each hip. And then release, relax, observe. Okay, from here, please roll onto your side. Let's roll onto right side. So on your right side with your arms straight, so bottom arm is a pillow, and bottom foot, right foot at the wall, and left foot planted behind the right leg. We'll take hold of the top wrist with the bottom hand. So we do this, right? Same setup we do all the time on our side here. We just have the addition of this right foot connected to the wall. So tug your arm for traction. Push your right foot into the wall. Head is heavy. Hips are stacked. And then you can release your wrist and just bring your left hand, your top hand out in front of you wherever it's comfortable. Bend your bottom leg and connect your top foot to the wall. So left foot connected to the wall at hip height. And just check your hips, make sure they're stacked, that you're not rocking back at all. Head is still heavy. You can bend your arm or even prop up on your hand if that's better for you. Bottom leg comfortably bent. Push the top foot into the wall. And then relax, but keep the foot connected to the wall. And let's repeat that a few times, like this pumping action. Push, push, foot into the wall. Ball the foot, baby toe mound. Maybe the heel and the toes as well, and then releasing. A couple more times. Last one here, really tracking what's showing up for you. Noticing where you're feeling sensation through the body, quality of sensation. Okay, and then from here, we'll just roll to the other side. Be on your left side. Bottom arm is straight, top arm is straight. Bottom foot is connected to the wall. And top foot is planted just behind the bottom leg. Take hold of your top wrist, tug, and push the foot into the wall. Head is heavy. Release the hands. You can just rest comfortably. You can reconfigure your left arm and how it's supporting the head. Bend your bottom knee. Straighten your top leg. So foot is at the wall. Check, make sure your hips are stacked. Push the right foot into the wall. Hold at the end range for a moment. And then relax the reach, relax the pressure, but keep the foot connected to the wall. And try that a few more times on your own. Watching and listening inwardly. Then let's come to prone. So lying on your belly, toe mounds connected to the wall, head heavy. We just keep your head down for now, shoulders relaxed, and push your toe mounds into the wall. Let's keep that energy through the legs. Take hold of your elbows, elbows slightly forward of the shoulders. Root down, rising up to our Sphinx variation, pressing toe mounds into the wall, shoulder blades depressing, forearms rooting down. Squeeze your glutes. Release down. You can let your elbows slide apart, stack your hands, forehead on your hands. And from here, hands beneath shoulders, press back to child's pose. If you can have toes tucked under, please do. And let's hold the edges, the sides of your mat. Imagine you could pull your mat, well, actually, don't imagine, pull your mat forward away from you and see if that helps you to bring your hips back toward your heels. Head can rest down. Gently rise up. If you have a blanket on your mat, take it off. If you've been working on carpet, grab your mat. We will continue to use the wall. If you don't have a wall at your disposal, you can use blocks. We're coming into downward facing dog with heels up the wall. Okay, if you didn't have the wall, as I mentioned, you can put your heels up your blocks. So toe mounds and toes are on the ground. It's a lot for the toe joints. That's good. Center of your heels at the wall. A lot of us have big toe stuff going on, so just notice if you're kind of shearing out to one side. Try to center your feet as best you can. Push the floor away. Head can hang. Space around the jaw. Lower the knees down to the ground. If you've got blocks, you might want them. We're coming into runner's lunge. Left foot forward and right heel up the wall, or you can use your block. Okay, once you get your setup, lifting the back knee off the ground, hands beneath the shoulders. That's it. So we're imagining we could drag this left foot back toward the wall and pressing the right heel into the wall, squeezing the right glute, and sending the chest forward. So try to take rounding out of your back, head in line with the rest of your spine. That's it. You can go low in the hips if you can, but it's not like a sinking or a sagging of the hips. It's an intentional lowering. Lower the knee down, and let's just switch from here into runner's lunge with the right foot forward, back heel up the wall or on a block, front foot gripping into the mat backwards, back heel press into the wall, chest moves forward. Back glute is on. Beautiful. Set your blocks just aside. Let's come back into down dog with the heels elevated. Knees can be bent, everybody. Long spine. Okay, and then from here, walk your feet off the wall and up toward your hands and make your way up to standing. We're going to continue to work with the wall a little bit more for pyramid pose. So let's have left foot forward and back heel will be at the wall, but not up the wall now, just against the wall. Okay, left foot forward. So right toes are turned in quite a lot here. This is the one where we have our hips squared to the short edge of the mat. Imagine you could drag that front foot back so it's gripping into the mat. Back glute is on. Let's reach the arms up toward the ceiling. And then hinge. Hinge at the hips. You could bring your hands down to your blocks. Don't go all the way right away. Just go about halfway at first. And then just recommit this front foot dragging back. That might be harder here. So experiment. Back heel pressing down to the ground and a little bit backward into the wall. If you press the heel back, you might be able to get a little more inner spiral. So this right inner thigh rotating back behind you. And then maybe hinge from the hips a bit more if you'd like to go deeper. Keep using the wall. Sometimes we're at the wall, but we forget to actually utilize it. And then carefully rise up, step back, foot forward, touching mountain pose. Second side for pyramid, right foot is forward. Left heel against, but not up the wall. Turn the toes in as much as works for you so that your hips are squared, both facing the short edge of your mat. Front foot dragging back, left glute squeezing. Reaching up. Hinging to fold about halfway. Use the wall and see if you can find inner spiral with your back leg a little more. So the inner thigh rotating up toward the ceiling. Maybe folding a bit deeper by hinging at the hips. Push the floor away with your feet to rise up. Coming back to Tadasana, mountain pose. Okay, we're going to use the wall for a warrior three. So for our setup, try to sit right up against the wall and place your blocks on the highest setting where your feet are. This is just our measurement. Yeah, that's it. Okay, keep the blocks where they are. Stand up. And bring your left foot in line with the blocks. Like probably heel center of the blocks if you want to get really picky. Okay, so keep the left foot where it is now and bring your blocks to the floor, or blocks a little bit forward so they're right underneath your shoulders. Okay, left foot stays where it is, right leg comes up. I've got a window, but ideally you're pushing into a wall. Here we go. So you just measured your distance. It should be correct. Okay. Tendency is for this right hip to be elevated. Notice if your toes are turned out. That's probably external rotation from the thigh. So rotate internally with this right leg, toes point down, and sacrum is level. And then from here, you can adjust the blocks if you need to. We want them right underneath the shoulders. Bend your standing leg. Bend into the standing leg. Pause. Bring your awareness back to your right inner thigh. And then slowly straighten, or at least somewhat straighten this left leg, and keep inner spiraling, internally rotating that right leg as you push the heel and the toe mounds back. So the right leg, what we're trying for is parallel to the floor. Extend your chest forward and bring your head in line with the rest of your spine. Notice how if you inner spiral that right leg and push the foot into the wall, it's definitely more work, but hopefully feels a bit more stable as well. Okay, when we come down, we want to align the right foot next to the left foot because that's our setting. And then bring the left leg back up, or left leg up now. So blocks are right underneath the shoulders. Take a look back at your left foot. If your toes are turned out, the hip is probably elevated. So inner left thigh rotating up to turn results in the toes turning down. Bend your right leg. Standing leg bends. Awareness back to the left inner thigh. Slowly Drive right foot into the floor to straighten, or at least somewhat straighten right leg. Inner spiral left thigh more and push back into the wall. Chest is extending forward. Gaze is down, head is in line with the spine. Keep working that back leg, your left leg, rooting into the wall and inner rotation of the thigh. Okay, and then just carefully bring the foot down. Separate your feet, hip or even shoulder width apart. And let's just keep hold of the block. Stretch the arms forward without weighting forward. So hips are still over the heels, and let's bend the knees here at least a little bit. So we're in a forward fold with more of a down dog feel. Really elongate through the sides of your torso. So the block's just giving you an opportunity to lengthen more through the front spine. Stretching long through the sides of the torso, the armpits. Try adding a little inner spiral here, last few breaths. So inner thighs rotating back behind you. Notice how that feels. And then walk your feet wider apart so they're as wide as your mat, as wide as the shorts measure of your mat. And if you wanted to do blocks lower or tippy fingers, you could, but still with this elongation of the torso and the arms, like down dog. Bend your knees even more. Hopefully they were already bent, but bend them more. More. And then when you straighten the legs again, or straighter, you don't have to go all the way straight. Awareness to the inner thighs, and try a little more inner spiral without collapsing the arches of your feet. So inner thighs move back. Chest keeps extending forward. Breathing here. Set your blocks just aside and walk your feet back one more time. Down dog. If you want, heels up the wall because it's handy and different. Good for the feet. Push the floor away with your hands a ton. And let's lower the knees and come back into child's pose. From here, take your time, make your way into Shavasana. If you'd like a little extra grounding effect, feet touching the wall, not active because it's Shavasana, but having that connection of feet to the wall or to something will add a little grounding for us. And especially in this day and age, we can never ground too much. Let the whole back body drop downward. Feel yourself sinking into the floor and kind of spreading out. I mean, you could do that physically, but also this sense of skin spreading. Notice where you're clenched or tensed and see if you can let that go and create a little bit more space inside your body. So maybe in the pelvic floor or the jaw or the hands. And just rest. Come back into the river of breath. And take your time rising up to a seat. Let's take a breath in. Om Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. Peace, 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 peace. Thank you.